Good morning. Welcome in to the Out of Bounds Show.
Just trying to find some recruits.
We're live in the Bank Plus studio. Show is brought to you by Sound and Communications, soundcomav.com. Your next video wall for your business or school or arena is powered by Sound and Communications. Soundcomav.com. We welcome in Mike Detillier, WWL Radio TV New Orleans. Mike D joins us on the Farm Bureau Insurance Guest Line, LSU Insider. All right, Mike D, what have you been told? What is the latest on LSU and Lane Kiffin?
Well, it's what we've talked about here for the past couple of weeks. He is their top choice. They're going to make an all-out effort to bring him in. This is in the basically hands of Lane Kiffin to make a decision. But I think there is no doubt, despite, I've had probably 50 to 75 texts sent to me about LSU is going to land Nick Saban. And my thing is, aren't you listening? He's not coming back coach. He was in Louisiana, but nothing gets in the way of a good story or people who don't know what they're talking about. He came to New Orleans to talk at an AI conference, and I guess he got like $75,000 for the talk, and then he left. So, but nothing gets in the way of a good story. But right now, I don't think there's any choice in the matter. He is LSU's number one choice. He is Florida's number one choice. Ole Miss is number one choice. Two of those schools will be very disappointed in a week or so when, Coach Kiffin makes that decision up. So, no doubt about it, Bo. He is their guy. He was their guy from day one that they went after. And he is today. So you're just waiting on that decision from Lane Kiffin to see exactly where he'll coach in 2026.
All right. You want to handicap it, or are you just like, hey, who knows what he's going to do? Stay or go to Baton Rouge or Gainesville?
I have no idea if he'll stay, if he'll go. I had a lot of people that were telling me over the weekend, Florida people, that he's going to sign with Florida on Sunday. That didn't happen. And I didn't think it would happen, to be honest with you. The timing didn't make a whole lot of sense. Then, bang, yesterday, Wilson Alexander, who we had on, kind of details some of the efforts that LSU was making to try to lure him to Baton Rouge. And I'm sure, if it's dollar for dollar, Ole Miss can match, any kind of contract that LSU would give him. So it's going to be where his heart is in this. And there's only one person that knows.
Right.
That's Lane Kiffin, not somebody that's in their mom's garage who's on social media. It's none of these type people. It's going to be up to Lane. And we do live in the commuter world of college football, of college athletics. And these things happen. It's very awkward timing with everything now. You have your team on the verge of getting into the, college football playoff system, and all of this hits. And it's the time bomb approach. But from day one, I've been told it was Lane Kiffin. That's the guy they wanted. They made, and they were going to make every effort to try to bring him to Baton Rouge. The thing is, and I've been involved with it 9-10 times before in coaching searches, sometimes you better have a list more than one or two, because sometimes one or two turns you down. Every once in a while, though, you do land the top guy.
Right.
And for LSU people, they've been through this before. If you're, I was just a really little kid at this time, but Paul Dietzel in the 50s wins a national championship for LSU. They get I think it was a 9-1 season, and he leaves LSU. Now, different time, different era. He leaves LSU to go to Army. The Army. Okay, that's in the early 60s. We saw Nick Saban, and we saw what happened there. Wayne Huizenga, who was then the owner of the Dolphins, trying to get Saban to go to Miami, and he did, and Nick left. We saw Les Miles, not once but twice, University of Michigan playing footsie with him. I think he was really close to leaving at one time. And in a quick story, we do an LSU pregame, me and Bobby Hebert and Deke Bellavia. And it was rumored that he was going to leave to go to Michigan. Kirk Herbstreit comes on game day and says Les Miles will coach his last game today, SEC championship game, and then he will take the job at Michigan. And we had a good friend of ours that was close at LSU. And all I told him was, you just tell me, I don't want the details. Just tell me if he's staying or going. And I guess about an hour into the pregame, because he had a meeting with the players, I get the text, Les is staying at LSU. And remember he came out with that thing, I want to be with my damn fine football team.
Oh, yeah.
It was no press conference. He just came out and talked, which was really weird. But anything Les did sometimes was really weird. So it's par for the course here. And now we're seeing it played out again. But this time it's a high-stakes game of poker with three major players involved here. And LSU's all-out attempts, just like Florida has made all-out attempts to get him, and I'm sure Ole Miss will do everything they can to keep him. Big question mark, though, Bo, and I can't answer it, really, is what exactly Lane is going to do, and nobody else can, too. They might guess it right, but they don't really know.
Right. Mike Detillier, LSU insider, WWL Radio TV New Orleans. He joins us on the Out of Bounds show and on the Farm Bureau Insurance guest line. Burge Osbury, he's highly respected, and are they basically giving him unlimited funds and to get this deal done, or a deal if Lane says no?
Yeah, it's just Verge has autonomy to do whatever needs to be done to land a new coach. That happened a couple weeks back, and Wade Roos, the new president, says, he's part of the board, but basically Verge has autonomy to do what he wants to do to hire a coach. It's going to be his decision, and this is the same school that, if you can remember, Governor Landry said, we're running out of resources. And they did a study yesterday that from 2015 until today, this school, not counting Brian Kelly, has spent out over $43 million for coaches that aren't coaching here anymore. Mm. So that poor school, and I told you before, man, you learn in Louisiana, there is no one guy. This isn't Oregon with Phil Knight or Michigan with Larry Ellison or Cody Campbell at Texas Tech that can say, what do you need? And I'll write you the check. But they got people with cash here, and they love LSU, and they are willing to spend it if it means getting who they believe is the guy.
Do you believe, Mike, that Kiffin's family was in town yesterday?
There's no doubt. There is no doubt he was in Baton Rouge. Now, I will say his family was also in Gainesville last week. So we'll see what happens with that particular part in far as, looking around, finding areas. And it was so funny. It reminded me of Coach Saban. Coach Saban talked about when he threw his hat in the ring at LSU, when it looked to be it would be Mark Richt, that he didn't come down to Baton Rouge. He sent Miss Terry. Because he said, I didn't want to get any ridicule. So he sent Miss Terry down here, and, nobody knew who she was. She went to TJ Ribs one time, and they had a contest, pick the LSU next head coach. And I think she was one of two people that put Nick Saban's name in the hat. I don't know what she won out of that, but she did. She did do that.
Do you want to handicap it, or what? How about timeline? Ole Miss is going to the college. How does this look? You think? Ole Miss is going to the college.
But
yeah,
it really does. It really looks awful. And I get Ole Miss saying, "Hey, look, give us a decision." And I think you have to. You have to get that decision out one way or another. This has been a really unusual year for Ole Miss in football, because I think last year most people thought that would be the year they get in. They had really went all out in the portal to get a ton of players on defense, especially up front. Okay, you had a first-round pick quarterback in Jackson Dart. Walter Nolan, who got from A&M, was a first-round pick guy. I know one thing, Trey Harris didn't start at Ole Miss. Remember when he was a high school quarterback throwing the football to Malik Neighbors in high school, and he goes to Louisiana Tech because he was a conversion player. He was a quarterback that they turned into a receiver, and then he told me the reason he went to Ole Miss. He said, one reason, Lane Kiffin. He said, I know they're going to throw the football, and that's why I'm leaving Louisiana Tech to go to Ole Miss. And it looked to be, like last year was set up for them, that they had the type team, and had they gotten in, I think they would have been very dangerous had they gotten into that top 12. But it did not happen. And this year you wondered, a new quarterback, got a lot of new guys along that defensive line, and they caught lightning in a bottle. Man, and it worked. And then Trinidad. What a great story with Trinidad Chambliss coming in. So in this crazy world of college athletics, it's a real good chapter. I don't think anybody thought they would be a team that would get into the top 12. Now, I think Ole Miss fans, diehard Ole Miss fans maybe thought that way, but I don't think anybody else did, that they would end up there. I think everybody thought it would be a year ago. But I've got coaches in my family, and they all tell me the same thing. Sometimes the most talented teams aren't the best teams. It's the teams that they know they figured out a way to win, and it all comes together. But it's been a crazy year where, who dominates a lot of the headlines is not all the time the Blue Bloods. It's been Indiana, Texas Tech, Vanderbilt. And now, not only because they've won so much, but because they have the hottest coach in football today, in Lane Kiffin, Ole Miss dominating it.
Mike Detillier on the Out of Bounds Show, 105.9 The Zone, ESPN. So do you believe that the NFL could still be in play here, or that this is just a Ole Miss LSU Florida game? Yeah,
I'd heard a lot of people talk to me about the Giants, but Joe Schoen basically in his interview with Jay Glazer said he would not go to college ranks. Miami was another team that I had heard linked because of his relationship with Tua at Alabama. But I think this is between the three colleges right now. I think it's between the three. I have not heard anything concrete about the NFL. But, hey, just hold on. 24 hours might pass, and you might. It's a crazy situation, but I think we're living in that world, Bo.
Right.
I think we're living in it now where it's different. you would have waited till the season was over. Coach Saban waited till the season was over before he left LSU. Paul Dietzel, they played the Orange Bowl that year, and then he left to go to Army. But now you got guys coming and going. Here's the real kind of clinker in the bunch. I know how close Lane Kiffin is to former LSU coach Ed Orgeron. Ed and him were on that staff at USC.
And Tennessee.
And then Ed gets the head coaching job at Ole Miss. One of his assistants on that staff was a guy by the name of Frank Wilson, who's now the interim head coach at LSU. So Ed gets fired at Ole Miss, coaches with the Saints 1 year, and then Lane comes to call, and I think he doubled his salary, and they went to Tennessee. And on that staff was Lane Kiffin as the head coach. Orgeron was the, I think, assistant head coach, recruiting coordinator, defensive line coach. One of the assistants was Frank Wilson, who's now the interim coach at LSU. Just sort of strange bedfellows. Now, they only lasted 1 year at Tennessee, and then they went to USC. But, man, it would be intriguing because people say, well, you would never hire a former head coach to come back to be an assistant coach at the same school. Well, hell, didn't Arkansas just do that with Bobby Petrino?
They damn sure did.
And so I do know one thing. There are two guys that know the Louisiana high school ranks better than anybody, and that's Frank Wilson and Ed Orgeron. I mean, there's not a high school coach in area where they have not recruited before. And the little twist with this, and this started under Ed, that LSU was not landing the vast majority of the top players in the state of Louisiana. Look on LSU's roster. There are less than 40 guys from the state of Louisiana on that roster. It's the first time I can ever remember that. And it has really escalated the last few years under Brian Kelly. And now, got a lot of them that have went elsewhere. And I think that that's something Coach Saban did back when he came in, to say, I'm going to build that levee in Louisiana and keep the most of the top players here. You're not going to keep everybody, but most of them. And over the last 10 years, there have been more draft choices from LSU that didn't go to high school in Louisiana than there were high school players in the state of Louisiana. And last year, per capita, Louisiana put out more NFL players than any other state in the union.
Yeah. All right. So do you think where do you see the timeline headed for this thing, Mike D? Saturday, Sunday, next week, Thanksgiving? Yeah,
because it looks as though Ole Miss has told Kiffin that they want a decision, and I would think he's going to coach the Egg Bowl against Mississippi State, and I think you'll know pretty close afterwards of exactly what's going to happen. And I think it would be only right for any of the three schools, but especially Ole Miss. Come on, you have to know, because even with a loss to Mississippi State, you're still going to be in that 12 number. You're still going to be there. It's, again, odd timing for what happens all the way across the board, but it's a strange twist to it. So I think, next Saturday, you sort of know one way or another with Coach Kiffin, but I can't think of another story like this in recent years. Mm-mm. That you have a coach now, it's expanding now to 12, but even during the 4, that this is happening at that moment. Because most of the time, if you get a contract extension, it's sometime during the year saying you're going to stay. That is the one element, and I talked to Wilson Alexander about this yesterday, and he was like, that is the one element that came into play here. Him not getting, or he might have gotten it. I'm sure he got it, but he didn't sign it, and it's played out. Listen, nothing like an LSU coaching search is all I can tell you. But two schools are going to be very unhappy.
Oh, no doubt.
It's all over with. No doubt about it.
Let me ask you this. Your best source that you've talked to with LSU, what are they telling you? Your absolute best source that you have, what have they told you?
They made the best offer they could, and they're just waiting on Kiffin.
Okay.
They didn't have a feel one way or another. And this is somebody that I feel knows what he's talking about. But they felt confident they had made him an offer that he couldn't turn down. And which would probably, that meaning that he would be the highest paid coach in college football.
Mm. All right.
Which is a lot of money. I mean, you're talking about over $14 million. And again, if you peel back the hands of time, you had the governor of the state yelling about it. But what he didn't throw into the conversation was that 90% of that money was private money. He didn't get quite the facts right on that.
No, he didn't. And I think somebody told him to sit this one out, Mike.
Yeah, exactly. Real quick. No more Pat McAfee shows for you. No more. Answering questions about the coaching search. Listen, he got much bigger issues in the state than that.
Right, no doubt.
So LSU's athletic program, $200 million last year.
Yeah.
And so you understand this is big business. Now, I have been told by somebody that would really know that their NIL, layout, so to speak, and asking for money has flattened over the past month, which you understand because nobody knows exactly what's going to happen. Has sort of flattened out. But if they were to land Lane Kiffin, I'm sure that it won't stay flat for long. They'll have a lot of people chirping in that money. And it's that time of year where people who have money, their feeling is, I'll rather give it away to somewhere else than to pay Uncle Sam. And so that's also a part of it. But boy, it's a crazy tale at this stage, and nobody really knows. That's the part you might guess and guess it right, but you don't know. And even people in the know will tell you, I think it will happen, but I'm not sure. So that tells you they don't know either.
Mike D on the Out of Bounds Show. Thanks, Mike D. Brought to you by your next video wall for your conference room, business, or school. Sound and communication. SoundcomAV.com. Hour number 3 coming up.